For the daily interview series on this programme, Money Talks. Motorsport, a predominantly male-orientated industry, and a wonderfully noisy one and very colourful one, is highlighted through the Austrian Grand Prix this Sunday and Silverstone in the United Kingdom the week before. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz Jr. took the winner's podium. All great stuff there. Now, however, despite being one of the few sporting activities in which men and women can compete alongside each other on equal terms, and despite support from Lewis Hamilton and David Coulthard, women in motorsport do remain pretty low down the agenda. There is their own particular grouping where they compete, but very little presence, and not for a long time, in Formula One. There is a separate event, but not, as I say, in the main one that we just featured there with those clips. She, however, changed all of that, working very hard to change it going forward as well. Justina Williams owns a female-led motor racing team, XLR8 Motorsport, and is the UK ambassador for Girls on Track, a group of international women within motorsport. Beginning her working life at the young age of 16, Justina landed an apprenticeship in a nuclear power station as an industrial electrician, moving on to work in real estate, financial recruitment. Her motorsport passion was fully ignited when she began racing karts. On top of all of that, Justina is also a STEM ambassador, science, technology, engineering and the rest of it, for the British Army. So what can this woman not do? Well, I can tell you that she can sneak into the studio very quietly and sit down and is ready to cross swords with me. It's a real joy. I'm a fan. I'm a genuine fan, so it's a real joy to see you. And I love the work that Lewis is trying to do through Mercedes, and I love the work that David Coulthard is doing through his series. But blunt question, having just read that biog out, is it really about sexism? Is it about physicality? Or is it about opportunity? I
think it's about opportunity and also educating people that the opportunities are there. So for me, I had the opportunity. I had been a racing driver, and someone said I had the Mini Challenge owners at the time, so I think you could run a really good race team. And I thought, let's give it a go. And when you started doing karts, was that because mum and dad had a bit of spare money to do, or did they have... I mean, Lewis Hamilton started off in karts, as many of them do, and his dad ended up doing 3 jobs to support Lewis's passion. Yeah, now, when I was very young, I was competing in judo. So I got my first gold medal at the age of 8 and then continued to compete in that. But it was later in life when me and my husband had the money that we'd built up over the years to go karting. Too late, really, but we enjoyed it. We were doing it for fun. But I have always been very competitive, so I always wanted to win. And that, crucially, was because you wanted to do it, and as a couple, you were happy to pursue that. It wasn't that kind of thing, a kind of political campaign. I'm a woman and therefore I have equal rights. You just wanted to do it. Oh, yeah, I'd always wanted to. I mean, when I was very young, I was told I should be on the track when I was driving on the road. But it's always been... We won't go into that. No, but it's always been that I've been very competitive, and it was something... You know, my dad used to put the Go Faster stripes on the side of my dad's car, and it was just something that grew from there. And I loved cars anyway, and I thought, why not give it a go later in life, just to do something I can enjoy? I said final point, but should have said penultimate point. And this is a serious political question in the sense that I know many friends in the motorsport think that what Coulthard and the female formula are doing is you know, it's quite a good thing. But what an awful lot of women, Claire Williams, your namesake, who runs her late dad's team, very much feel that what they want is the opportunity for women to have equal access to F1 so they can do Silverstone, they can do Austria and the rest of it. Do you agree with them? I think, you know, everyone wants... Women have no reason to not progress into motorsport. And I think it's a case of, if you're determined from a young age, why can't you get into Formula One? Yeah. Which is a perfect point to move on to the next thing. I did mention in passing, but just to remind folk who are kind enough to be watching and listening to our conversation, that you spent time in the nuclear industry, and you are a scientist in your own right as well. And you've now moved on, still got the interest in the motorsport, but your new passion strikes me as being really quite profound, and that is to try and open doors to bright young girls, bright young women, to say there literally is no limit to the sky and that glass ceiling is waiting to be broken. Absolutely. Like me, you know, I was an electrician, industrial electrician on a nuclear power station, had a fantastic opportunity at such a young age and learnt so much in that time. And then I've gone on, as you said, into real estate. I've been a financial planner. I've had my own recruitment firm.
Was that private sector nuclear or government?
Private sector. And, you know, all these things that I've had the opportunity to do, I've never felt I've been held back. It's just I want to do it, and everyone else can do the same.
Do you sometimes feel, though, that you're kind of a rare shining example of that? Because I can remember a very good friend of mine, Patricia Hewitt, who was a very senior Secretary of State under Tony Blair, and one of her great passions, and she wasn't just a silly, wokey person, she just thought bright young girls, and then later on women, whether it was in school, university or industry, should see all sectors an opportunity, not least science, technology and computing she had a big thing about as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was years ago.
Yeah, and I think I've been very lucky to be involved with the British Army as a STEM ambassador for them. I'm an ambassador for the FIA Girls on Track UK, as you said. And it's really giving them the opportunity. We've done events recently where they come along, they see what we do and see behind the scenes. And it's really... And they say, who likes maths? And the amount of them that like maths, they put their hands up. Well, you don't just have to be an accountant. Maths is the most important thing of being an engineer in motorsport. So it opened their eyes, and they came away with such enthusiasm and excitement that I can do something different. There's so many things you can do.
Did I just hear a car go in my ear? I thought I did. She and I have heard quite enough of that. What I didn't know at all until I read the briefing that my lovely team, who just played racing cars in both of our ears, told me before we came on air, is the stuff with the Army. Now, I'm a Royal Air Force brat. My dad was there. And to be honest, I think he and his generation probably would not have approved of some of the advances that are being made. And yet, right here, I had dinner with the Chief of the Defence Staff the other night. One of the things he's most proud of is it's not tokenism. It's not filling in quotas. These women are competing alongside men, whether it's to command a ship, lead a squadron of fighter planes, a battalion of fighting soldiers, exclusively on merit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, again, just showing them that the opportunity is there. They need to see it, because often you talk about it, but it's different actually seeing it in action. So, yes, having these girls...
But old fuddy-duddy generals in their moustaches and sitting in White's Club sipping brandy and whatever are the least likely people to say, yeah, let's have equality here on merit? Is that because you pushed them?
No, it's that they really are pushing for having females in the Army, and just in general, encouraging engineers that are females and engineers in general. We are lacking engineers in the UK. We need more. So me being able to help with the STEM... and being an electrician by trade helps that, and I did that, and then I've moved on to do something else. Again, it's just very much, it is all about educating them.
Funnily enough, that is my final book. There's a lovely Christopher Nieper, whose dad set up a clothing manufacturer. He now runs that company. They make clothes and they sell it, and they retail as well. And he was saying the real answer to our economic woes at the moment is to invest in skills, which leads to greater productivity. This isn't just equality for bright young things who happen to be able to drive very quickly, rather elegantly. So are you talking to employers as much as you're talking to schools, or is the real core work to be done at a school level?
I think it helps getting them at a young age, because they're very influential then, and they ask so many questions. Some of the schoolgirls have had to come to us from about the age of 8. There's question after question, and it's quite fantastic that they have all these questions to ask. So, yes, employers as well, but I think it needs to start at a younger age, and therefore working with the Army and with the FIA to get them at a very young age is where you get a better result of them realising. When
we've done, I'll put you in touch with my daughter, who was a headmistress at the age of 27 and is now a manager in an education division. Justina Williams, I cannot tell you how much of a pleasure it was to meet you, but also to listen to that great wisdom and optimism. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.